Gonna try something this year, see how it goes. I'm gonna just try to give some updates about the league in a video instead of trying to type out big long articles like I used to a couple years ago. We'll see. If no one wants to participate or no one thinks they're fun, then maybe I'll stop. But I like doing it, so I think I'm gonna just give it a shot and we'll see. So welcome to the 2024-25 Funky Town basketball season. Unfortunately, we got a new name here on the trophy, so we've got the past, a lot of Justin on there, even the COVID season. You guys can say what you want. I was in first. And we got a recent Team Red shot there added to the trophy. Uh, JW, little three-peat there for me. No big deal. Back-to-backs for Nate. Nate couldn't get the three-peat last year because he auto-drafted and ended up selling at the deadline, trying to get better for this year. Real sorry, Nate couldn't get the three-peat there. But I want to take a look, go through people's keepers, just give my gut kind of first take about what I see. So we're gonna do that and do that now. So I'm going to go over our keepers and just give a little preliminary thoughts on who everybody decided to keep, what we got left for the draft. One thing to keep in mind is we drafted ESPN last year and they had tons of people that were up in the 60s and 70s. Sleeper's not the same. Sleeper has everyone down way low. And so our numbers from last year look kind of bad in a lot of cases. A lot of the studs weren't good keeper candidates because they were so expensive on ESPN and they look stupid to keep over here because you could get them for $20 less or more, depending on who it is. So a lot of these are not going to be the studs you might think when you're thinking keepers. Who do you want to have like anchor your team this year? A lot of them are kind of lower end dudes. Most of the studs are still available, so just kind of to keep in mind as we go through this. So starting with Nate, he has Tyrese Maxey, Brad Beal, Scotty Barnes. I would love to have Scotty Barnes. Everyone would love to have Scotty Barnes. $26, not really like super value or anything. Tyrese Maxey at 18, not really a super value. These are, based on what Sleeper says. Brad Beal is actually a slight overpay at $7 according to Sleeper, which is wild. But Brad Beal is it's not the same Brad Beal as he was in Washington when he's the only guy trying to score every night. So I mean that's pretty solid. Maxey and Barnes. Like if this were Dynasty, it'd be an awesome start. Not really sure what to make of that. $149 left to spend. That's a lot. Nate's a shrewd drafter, so I'm optimistic with a nice core like that. He'll be solid, but it's going to really hinge on the draft. It's not like some locked and loaded playoff team just because he's got those three guys. That's for sure. For Bo, we've got Kaminga, Sengun, and Vucevic. So it's interesting that he went Sengun and Vucevic, and Kaminga's power forward eligible, so it's almost like three bigs. Sengun at $15 has got to be one of the best values in the whole league. He more or less exploded last year, and then when he went down, that was kind of the end of Houston's hopes of trying to sneak in a play in. I mean, Vucevic at 36 is overpriced. He's 27 on sleeper, but Bo made a choice. He wants to bank on a lot of minutes being available for him, a lot of shots going up, a lot of rebounds. I don't hate it. $143 left. Needs a lot of guards. Bigs are kind of name of the game in our league a little bit. They got double doubles, the bonus points, and everything. So Sengun is fantastic. Kuminga's definitely got a chance to make a leap. Vucevic a little over. I'd say that's a fine group of three. Derek has a pretty nice group of three, in my opinion. Ja at 18 is a really nice value if he's going to come back and be the same guy. He didn't go out because of injury. He went out because of flashing guns in his videos. Cade Cunningham at 20 seems pretty good. I mean, he has been like right on the cusp for like 3 years, 4 years already. He's not as young as he. Maybe that's too much. Maybe he's not that old, but it feels like he's been like the next guy up for several years and it hasn't quite happened. So I don't really know. But $20 seems appropriate for that. And then Bam at 29, he's a stud. Probably a better real life basketball player than fantasy player because a lot of what he does on defense isn't going to necessarily get you points. But between Ja, Cade, and Bam, I mean, in terms of just who has the most talented trio and keepers, that's right up there, I think. So I think that's a good job, Derek. $133. So not a whole lot less than Bo or Nate. And I certainly want those three guys over either of those other two trios we talked about so far. Mahoney Money, who for sure has the best team photo, and that is him, since none of you guys know him. Desmond Bain at 18. That's a little over, or it's right around the value. OG was a little bit over at 13. And then PJ Washington is undervalued, as in that's a good thing. Sleeper has him projected for more than $6. I would say that that's doesn't move the needle like a ton, but he has $163 left. And therefore, you think about him having like an entire extra $20 caliber player relative to Bo or Derek. That's not bad. Bane for sure is the biggest piece of that puzzle. OG and PJ are both going to be like utility plays, maybe benched a lot. So, maybe you want a little bit more out of your keepers, but it's not a bad thing. Anthony had the head scratcher of the group, and $67 for LeBron is far too much. And I think I really should have looked up what he was projected, but it was like 20 something, 30 something at max, probably 20 something, maybe less, because he's old. He's got a Father Time's got to win eventually. I mean, he's elite last year. Let's look. I mean, what did he have? He had these points are all jacked up because I'm on desktop, but he was a top 10 guy last year. He played a ton of minutes last year. He played in the Olympics. Didn't have a lot of playoff minutes because they're out after the first round, but I that was one that I really kind of shook my head at. I think you've wasted too much money on that. Even though he's great, $67, you're going to be hard pressed to supplement LeBron, Porter, and Capella and make that into a championship team. I'm a little worried for you, Ant, but we'll see. Hopefully, you have a great draft and you can get right back in it. Kind of the same, not the same, but a lot of money spent on LaMelo Ball for Adrian. $53 is a little over. Obviously, he's a stud when he's healthy, but he's never healthy, not for the whole season. And then you got Kawhi, who we know is not healthy, and you should have known before you kept him. I know you texted me today, like, oh no, not Kawhi. He was not healthy already. We all knew that. He missed the Olympics because he couldn't, they basically kicked him out because he wasn't good enough because he's on one leg. That makes me nervous. 25 bucks for Kawhi, 53 for LaMelo. Kuzma at 18 is fine. It's not good value, but it's not bad value. It's a little over, I think, what Sleeper projected. $104 left. I don't know how many games you're going to get out of Ball and Leonard. If you get 90 games combined out of those two guys, I'm not, is that, would you hope for that or is that being too pessimistic? I don't know. You need to hit on a lot of your draft picks if you want to really challenge for the top. That's my take. Brandon went with Claxton and Duran, so two bigs, straight up centers as well, I think, right? Or is Duran? Let me see the position eligibility here. Oh no, even Claxton could play power forward. Okay, never mind. They can both play power forward. So, two bigs early. I think Claxton was pretty much right on the nose at 15 bucks. Duran was a good value. Sleeper didn't have him projected for a lot more than that, but obviously the potential is immense. He was awesome to start last year, kind of cooled down. Only two keepers, so the first one of the group so far to only keep two. $179 is the second most of the league. We'll get to number one here in a minute. A lot of money. It's just going to come down to how well do you draft. I mean, I love Duran. Claxton is going to get tons of minutes. That team's so bad that I mean he should have opportunities to get stats, but yeah, we'll see. It's gonna just all hinge on the draft. And I know you spent like $60 on Shea last year, so you're gonna have to probably pump the brakes a little bit on that because everyone's values are way down. Next is me, Brandon Miller at 7. He was projected 14. Nurkic at 10. I think he was projected 15, something like that. So two like kind of mild values. And then Wembanyama at 46 works for me. He was top 10 last year. Towards the end of the year, he's definitely top five. I mean, the blocks and the steals just make this so nasty. I mean, he's scoring 100 a couple times towards the end of last year. So I'm gonna take two shots on Miller and Nurkic at pretty cheap, and Wemby at 46 is a steal. I think you got Jokic at 85 being kept for 85. Luka's projected in the 60s. Wembanyama's right behind him. I think so. 46, I feel really good about that. Hoping Brandon Miller makes a jump. Not sure there's going to be enough. There's a lot of mouths to feed all of a sudden, it feels like in Charlotte. Maybe not, but he's going to get his shots. But whether he can do enough to really make it like a 40 point per game kind of guy, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think what I've got's all right. $137 is kind of on the lower side compared to the rest of the league. So I'm going to have to be a little bit patient probably up at the top. Duran doesn't care about women, so he went after Bridges. Now that's his choice. Got him for $1 last year, so that's obviously an incredible value. $6 this year for old Miles Bridges. He's going to blow past that in terms of value. Chet at 30, Mobley at 20. I think those might have both been like slight overpays according to the sleeper value, or it was close. Neither of them were like very far off. Um, that is a talented trio. That might be pushing the Jaw, Cade, Bam. Nah, never mind. No, it's not. But I love Chet. I love Mobley. They both obviously have room to grow. That's big. Bridges, I think we know what he is, but he's a great floor. So you've got three for sure starters every week in your lineup all ready to go and $144. I think that's a good start. I really like that keeper group. I think it's one of the best for sure. Good job, Duran. Our third place from last year, JW, has Rozier for 6 and Franz for 8. Love the Franz pick in particular. Obviously, he could get a lot better. And $8 is not too big of an investment to see if he blossoms into like maybe a top 30, 40 guy. Rozier, I'm not really sure what you're going to get out of him anymore. How old is Rozier? I feel like I usually know. 30? That feels like he's older than 30 for some reason. That team, I guess he's their starting point guard still. He should get some shots up, I guess. $6, why not? Like you got $186 left. Rozier is definitely a solid guy. Like who wouldn't want to have Terry Rozier on their bench? And then Franz at $8 can play small forward, which is really thin. Good. $186 is just going to come down to how much of that are you going to blow on Luca, and then from there, just gonna have to draft well. We'll see. Second place, Mr. Tony, who went on like a 10-game win streak or something last year towards the end. Um, just by having Jokic in there in his keeper group might make it the best talent-wise keeper group of all of them. $85 is insane. He's valued at like 79, so I'm not saying it's actually literally bad value or you're crazy, but to plan around $85 on one guy, I would be really nervous. Helps when you got J-Dub for 10. He should definitely be better than $10 this year. He's a lot of people's sixth man of the year candidate this year. RJ Barrett for 6 is fine. Yeah, nothing really special about that. But he's still on the young side. Maybe he could get better too. So it's basically just Jokic and Williams. $99 to work with. You're gonna have to wait. You can't go deep. You can't go big on another stud. Not an option, or else you're gonna be like $1, $2 the rest of your team. Very interested to see when you make your first big purchase in the auction. Jay has Zion at 25, which Sleeper actually says is an overpay. They have him at like 15, which doesn't make any sense to me. Jared Allen and Ayton. Um, Allen, Ayton, those are fine. Um, Actually, my camera's kind of in the way, so I can't even see their values. 11 and 24. 24 for Ayton is steep. Like that's too much. Allen at 11 seems like it's probably under. Maybe that equals out. Zion at 25 feels still like good value to me. Sleeper says it's not, but I would take him at 25. That's a lot of bigs. I know Zion can kind of play everything, but you're definitely going to need to spend some money on a guard. $140, you should have enough to go after multiple big guards if you choose. Very interested to see how you follow up your championship in the draft this year. That's everybody. We're going to draft tomorrow. So I don't know when I'll even post this. Maybe it will be tomorrow. Maybe we'll be drafting today. I hope more than just me watches this. Let me know if you thought it was fun. I'll do a video for post draft before we actually get started. I hope to do some recaps kind of as we go through the season. Um, I don't know how often, but like I said, it's kind of fun. I hope it makes it a little more involved this year. Hope we can all be more engaged and looking forward to a season. Gonna add my name to the trophy for a fourth time. I hope. Uh, anyway, good luck on the draft tomorrow.